The morning sun painted the fields of verdant prime in shades of gold and green. Hana stood at the edge of the landing pad, watching her diplomatic shuttle smoke and sputter. The blue skin on her forehead wrinkled with worry. She was supposed to be at the trade meeting in 2 hours, but her ship was clearly not going anywhere. "Trouble with your engine?" a quiet voice asked behind her. Hana turned to see a human male walking toward her. He was shorter than most Valerians, with dark hair and kind eyes. His clothes were simple work gear, stained with oil and metal dust. In his hands, he carried a toolbox that looked well used. "Yes," Hana said, her voice carrying the formal tone she used for official business. "The main drive started making strange noises an hour ago. Now it will not start at all." The human nodded and set down his toolbox. "I am Jinwoo. I run the repair shop in town. May I take a look?" Hana studied him for a moment. Most humans she had met were loud and eager to impress. This one seemed different. He waited patiently for her answer, not pushing or demanding anything. "I am Hana, diplomatic representative for the Valerian Council. Please, if you can help, I would be grateful." Jinwoo smiled and opened his toolbox. "Let me see what we have here." For the next hour, Hana watched Jinwoo work. He moved with careful precision, checking each part of the engine with quiet focus. He did not boast about his skills or complain about the complex alien technology. Instead, he simply worked, occasionally asking her questions about how the ship normally operated. "Your people build beautiful machines," Jinwoo said as he adjusted something deep in the engine. "This drive system is much more elegant than most I have seen." Hana felt surprised. Few aliens bothered to appreciate Valerian engineering. Most saw their technology as overly complicated or too focused on durability over efficiency. "You understand our design philosophy?" she asked. Jinwoo looked up from his work, a small smile on his face. "Your people build things to last through war and peace alike. Every part serves multiple purposes. Very smart. And humans? How do they build?" Jinwoo thought for a moment, wiping his hands on a cloth. "Humans build for adaptation. We make things that can change when needed. Not always the strongest or prettiest, but they keep working when everything else fails." He returned to the engine, and soon the familiar hum of the drive system filled the air. The shuttle was running perfectly. "How much do I owe you?" Hana asked, reaching for her payment pad. Jinwoo shook his head. "Nothing. You are a guest on our world. Besides, I enjoyed the challenge." Hana stared at him. In Valerian culture, refusing payment was either an insult or a sign of romantic interest. She did not think this quiet human was trying to insult her. "Then perhaps you will allow me to buy you dinner?" she asked. "As thanks for your help." Jinwoo's smile grew wider. "I would like that very much." That evening, Hana met Jinwoo at a small restaurant in the colony's main town. The place served food from a dozen different worlds, adapted for various alien digestive systems. They found a table near the window, looking out at the peaceful streets where humans, Valerians, and several other species went about their evening routines. "Tell me about your work," Jinwoo said as they waited for their food. "What does a diplomatic representative do?" Hana explained her role in maintaining trade agreements and resolving disputes between different species in the sector. She talked about the challenges of balancing various cultural needs and the satisfaction of helping communities work together. "It sounds like you are a builder too," Jinwoo said when she finished. "Just building with relationships instead of metal and circuits." No one had ever described her work that way before. Most Valerians saw diplomacy as a necessary but secondary skill compared to military prowess, but Jinwoo understood something deeper about what she did. "And you? How did you become an engineer?" Hana asked. Jinwoo's eyes grew distant. "My grandfather taught me. He used to say that fixing broken things was one of the most important jobs in the universe. Anyone can break something, but it takes real skill to make it work again." They talked long into the evening. Hana found herself sharing stories she rarely told anyone, and Jinwoo listened with the same careful attention he had given her shuttle. When he spoke about his work, his love for solving problems shone through every word. Over the following months, Hana found reasons to return to Verdant Prime. Sometimes for legitimate diplomatic business, sometimes just to see Jinwoo. Each visit, she learned something new about this quiet human who saw the world in ways that surprised her. Jinwoo showed her his workshop, where he created beautiful sculptures from spare machine parts. He taught her about human engineering philosophy, explaining how they designed systems to grow and change rather than simply endure. Most importantly, he listened to her concerns about balancing her people's warrior traditions with the peaceful cooperation the colony needed. Strength is not just about fighting, Jinwoo said one evening as they walked through his garden. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is choose not to fight. Hana's family was not pleased when she announced her intention to marry a human. Her cousin Taekwon visited from the military fleet, his scarred blue skin and ceremonial armor making him look like a traditional Valerian warrior. "He is not one of us," Taekwon said bluntly. "How can he protect you? How can he understand our ways?" "He understands more than you think," Hana replied. "And I do not need protection. I need a partner." The wedding ceremony blended Valerian and human traditions. Hana wore her family's ceremonial armor, while Jinwoo dressed in simple but elegant human formal wear. The vows they wrote combined Valerian oaths of honor with human promises of mutual support. During the reception, several Valerian elders approached Jinwoo. Their questions were polite but pointed. "Young human," one said, "Valerian women are warriors born. What will you do when danger comes to your home?" Jinwoo considered the question seriously. "I hope we live in peace for many years. But if that peace is threatened, I will do whatever is necessary to protect my family and community." "Humans are builders, not warriors," another elder observed. "Your people prefer machines to battles." Jinwoo nodded. "We do prefer to build rather than destroy. But elder, humans have been building for a very long time. We have learned to build many different things, for many different purposes." The elders exchanged glances, but said nothing more. Later, as Hana and Jinwoo danced to music that mixed Valerian drums with human melodies, she asked him about the conversation. "They think you are too gentle," she said. "They worry you cannot defend our home." Jinwoo spun her around gently, his movements precise and controlled. "I hope they never have to learn otherwise. Peace is always better than war, Hana. But humans understand something important about peace." "What is that?" "Real peace only exists when you are strong enough to fight for it, but wise enough to choose something else." As their first year of marriage passed quietly in the growing colony, Hana often thought about those words. She watched Jinwoo work in his shop and garden, saw how other humans in the colony lived their daily lives with calm competence, and began to understand that there was more to her husband's people than anyone realized. But for now, they had peace. And that was enough. The news came during breakfast on a Tuesday morning. Hana was reading reports on her datapad, while Jinwoo prepared tea in their small kitchen. The peaceful morning routine shattered when the emergency alert flashed across her screen. "The Krex. Hegemony has taken 3 colonies in the Outer Rim," Hana read aloud, her voice tight with concern. "They are moving toward our sector." Jinwoo set down his teacup carefully. "How long do we have?" "Unknown. The report says they move fast once they decide to attack." Hana scrolled through more information. "They offer worlds a choice: surrender and become slave colonies, or resist and be destroyed completely." Within hours, the colony's communication networks buzzed with panic and argument. The various species that called Verdant Prime home had very different ideas about how to respond to the threat. The Altarian merchants wanted to evacuate immediately, loading their trade goods and fleeing to safer systems. The peaceful Zelani farmers spoke of negotiation and appeasement, believing that reasonable beings could always find common ground. The small group of Thracian refugees who had fled their own world's conquest begged everyone to run before it was too late. But the Valerians talked of honor and glorious last stands. "We should fight," declared Elder Minho at the Emergency Colony Council meeting. "Verdant Prime is our home now. We will not abandon it to slavers." "With what?" asked Captain Nara, the human colonial defense coordinator. "We have farming equipment and some light patrol ships. The Krex bring entire war fleets." Hana watched the debate from her seat in the diplomatic section. As the evening wore on, it became clear that the mixed species colony could not agree on any unified response. Some wanted to evacuate, others wanted to negotiate, and the Valerians demanded to fight regardless of the odds. 3 days later, a Valerian military fleet arrived in the system. Hana felt mixed emotions as she watched the sleek warships take up defensive positions. The ships brought protection, but they also brought her cousin, Taekwon. Commander Taekwon came to dinner that evening, his military uniform crisp and his manner formal. He greeted Jinwoo politely but coolly, making it clear he considered the human an outsider to their family conversation. "The Colonial Council is paralyzed," Taekwon said as they ate. "Half the species here want to run, and the other half want to hide behind diplomacy that will not work. The Kreks do not negotiate with prey animals." "And what do you suggest?" Hana asked. "Evacuation for non-combatants. The Valerian fleet will hold the system as long as possible, giving civilians time to escape." Taekwon looked directly at Jinwoo. "Your husband should leave on the first transport. Humans are not equipped for this kind of warfare." Jinwoo continued eating his dinner, seemingly unbothered by the suggestion. "What about the other human families in the colony?" "They should all leave," Taekwon said dismissively. "This is not a conflict for builders and farmers. Let the warriors handle it." "The humans have lived here for 15 years, Hana pointed. "Out. This is their home, too," Taekwon shrugged. "Then they should have thought about defense before settling in a dangerous galaxy. Real strength comes from military power, not farming and fixing machines." After Taekwon left, Hana found Jinwoo in his workshop, cleaning and organizing his tools with unusual care. "You are angry," she observed. "No," Jinwoo replied quietly. "Not angry. Just disappointed." "In Taekwon? In the assumption that humans cannot defend their homes?" Jinwoo held up a complex piece of machinery. "Your cousin sees us as soft because we choose to build rather than conquer. He does not understand that building and fighting are not opposites." Over the following days, Hana noticed strange changes in the human community. The changes were subtle at first. Farmers working longer hours to bring in crops early, engineers spending extra time maintaining critical systems, teachers organizing children into groups with specific adults assigned to watch them. Captain Nara began holding quiet meetings with human families. When Hana asked about these gatherings, Nara said they were simply emergency preparedness discussions. But Hana noticed that the humans who attended these meetings seemed calmer afterward, not more worried. "What are your people planning?" Hana asked Jinwoo one evening. "The same thing all colonists plan when danger comes," he replied. "How to protect our homes and families. Taekwon says humans should evacuate with the other non-combatants." Jinwoo was quiet for a long moment, working on a device Hana did not recognize. "Hana, how long have humans been part of the galactic community?" "About 50 years. Why? And in that time, how many wars have humans started?" Hana thought about it. "None that I know of." "How many human conquest fleets have threatened other worlds?" "None." Jinwoo nodded. "Your cousin assumes that peaceful means weak. But he should ask himself, if humans are so weak, why has no one ever tried to conquer Earth?" Before Hana could respond, an urgent message arrived on both their communication devices. Lieutenant Yuna, one of Taekwon's junior officers, was requesting an immediate meeting with all colonial representatives. They found Yuna in the colony's central command center, her young face pale with worry. "I have been monitoring communications from the outer colonies," she said. "The Kreks have a new strategy. They are not just conquering anymore." "What do you mean?" asked Elder Minho. "They are testing different species for specific uses. They want Valerian warriors as shock troops, Altarian merchants as trade managers, Thracian engineers as technical slaves." Yuna looked around the room. "They have been studying this colony for months. They know exactly who lives here and what roles each species would serve in their empire." Captain Nara leaned forward. "What about humans?" Yuna hesitated. "According to intercepted communications, the Kreks are very interested in human psychological profiles. They want to understand how humans maintain morale and organize resistance. They plan to use captured humans to help break the spirit of other enslaved populations." The room fell silent. The implication was clear. The Kreks saw humans not as warriors or workers, but as tools for controlling other species. This changes nothing, Taekwon said firmly. We fight or we run. Those are the only choices. Maybe, said Jinwoo quietly, but first we should ask ourselves, what do the Kreks actually know about humans? They have studied us for months, Yuna pointed out. They have studied human colonists living in peacetime, Jinwoo corrected. But peace and war show different sides of any species, even humans. That night, Hana woke to find Jinwoo sitting by their bedroom window, looking out at the quiet colony streets. In the distance, she could see lights and windows throughout the human residential area. Other families were awake too, having their own quiet conversations. Cannot sleep? She asked. Just thinking. Jinwoo turned to her with a sad smile. I love our life here, Hana. The garden, the workshop, our neighbors. I had hoped we could raise children in this peace. We still might. The Valerian fleet is strong. Jinwoo nodded. Your cousin is a good warrior. His people will fight bravely. But brave is not always enough against overwhelming force. Then you think we should evacuate? I think, Jinwoo said carefully, that every species should make its own choice about how to face danger. Your people choose to fight with honor. Other species choose to flee or negotiate. Both are valid responses. And humans? What do humans choose? Jinwoo was quiet for so long that Hana thought he had fallen asleep. When he finally spoke, his voice carried a weight she had never heard before. Humans choose to survive, Hana. Whatever that takes. We hope for peace. We work for peace. We build for peace. But when peace fails, he trailed off. When peace fails, what? When peace fails, humans remember why we spent so long learning to build instead of destroy. Jinwoo stood and kissed her forehead gently. Get some sleep. Tomorrow is going to be a very long day. As he left the room, Hana saw him pause at their closet. He stood there for several minutes, looking at something she could not see. When he finally closed the door and went to his workshop, she noticed his movements had changed. The gentle, careful way he usually moved had been replaced by something more purposeful and precise. For the first time since the crisis began, Hana felt truly afraid. Not of the coming Kreks invasion, but of what she might learn about the quiet human she had married. The Kreks fleet arrived 6 hours before dawn, dropping out of faster-than-light travel like metal thunderclouds gathering in space. Hana woke to the sound of emergency sirens and the vibration of orbital defense platforms powering up their weapons. Through their bedroom window, she could see Taekwon's Valerian warships moving into defensive formation, their blue-white engines bright against the star field. The sight should have been reassuring, but the Kreks fleet was enormous. Dozens of massive ships formed a wall of dark metal that seemed to swallow the light from Verdant Prime's sun. How many? Jinwoo asked quietly, standing beside her at the window. Too many. Hana counted the ships she could see, then stopped when the number reached 40. There were more ships moving behind the main formation, too distant to count clearly. General Wu Jin's voice echoed across the colony's communication system, speaking in the harsh, clicking language of the Kreks. The translation system rendered his words in flat, emotionless tones. People of Verdant Prime, you have 1 hour to consider our offer. Surrender your government and military forces to Kreks authority. Your various species will be relocated to worlds better suited to their abilities and service to the hegemony. Resistance will result in the complete sterilization of your world. To prove his point, the Kreks fleet turned their weapons toward the nearby moon of Sorrow's Rest, where a small mining colony operated automated equipment. The orbital bombardment lasted only minutes, but when the energy beam stopped, the moon's surface glowed with molten craters. The mining colony was gone. The demonstration sent panic through Verdant Prime's mixed population. Families rushed to gather belongings, while various species leaders argued over whether to surrender or fight. The spaceport filled with beings desperate to board any ship leaving the system. But Hana noticed something strange about the humans. They were not panicking. Instead, human families moved with calm purpose. Parents spoke quietly to their children, giving them specific instructions. Adults helped elderly neighbors and organized supply distribution. There was no rushing, no shouting, no desperate attempts to reach the spaceport. Should we not be evacuating? Hana asked Jinwoo as she watched. They're human neighbors through the window. Where would we go? Jinwoo replied, putting on clothes that looked different from his usual work gear. The fabric was darker, more durable, and cut in a style that allowed for easier movement. The Krex fleet controls the space around this system. Any evacuation? Ships would be easy targets. Captain Nara's voice came over their personal communicators. All colonial defense personnel report to designated positions. This is not a drill. As Jinwoo prepared to leave, Hana grabbed his arm. You are not military personnel. No, he agreed. But I am a colonist, and this is my home. Where are you going? Jinwoo paused at their front door. To help with preparations. The children need to be moved to secure locations, and the elderly require special assistance. Something in his voice made Hana study his face more carefully. The gentle, thoughtful expression she knew so well was still there, but underneath it was something else. A hardness that reminded her of Valerian warriors, preparing for battle. Jinwoo, what are you not telling me? He kissed her forehead, the gesture as tender as always. I am telling you that I love you, and that humans will do whatever is necessary to protect their families. That is all you need to know right now. After he left, Hana reported to the Valerian command post, where Taekwon was coordinating defense plans with other military leaders. The tactical displays showed an impossible situation. The Krex ground forces alone outnumbered all the colony's defenders by 10-1. We can hold the main population center for perhaps 6 hours, Lieutenant, Yuna reported grimly. After that, our ammunition will be exhausted. Then we make those 6 hours count, Taekwon replied. Every minute we delay them gives more civilians time to reach the emergency shelters. What about the humans? Asked Elder Minho. I have not seen any human families heading for the shelters. Taekwon shrugged. If they want to stay in their homes and hope for mercy from the Krex, that is their choice. Foolish, but their choice. Hana frowned. She had seen the human community's behavior that morning, and it did not look like people hoping for mercy. It looked like people implementing a plan. The first Krex landing craft touched down in the colony's outer agricultural zone 2 hours after the surrender deadline passed. The attackers moved in standard invasion formation, heavy assault units securing landing zones while fast scout teams probed for defensive positions. The Valerian forces met them with fierce resistance, their blue-armored warriors fighting with skill and courage that impressed even their enemies. But courage could not make up for being outnumbered so badly. Within an hour, the defenders were falling back toward the main settlement. That was when strange things began happening to the Krex advance. Supply convoys found their routes blocked by fallen trees and damaged bridges that had been perfectly intact hours earlier. Communication equipment suffered mysterious failures that left units isolated from their command structure. Landing zones that had appeared suitable from orbit turned out to have unstable ground that trapped heavy vehicles. The humans, Lieutenant, Yuna said suddenly, studying the tactical reports. Look at where these problems are occurring. Hana examined the data. Every incident happened near human settlements or along routes that passed through human-managed areas of the colony. Sabotage? Taekwon asked. Preparation, Hana corrected, understanding finally dawning. They have been getting ready for this, for months. More reports came in as the day progressed. Krex soldiers encountered farming equipment that exploded when touched. Irrigation systems that seemed abandoned suddenly released floods of water that washed out temporary bridges. Even the local wildlife seemed to be working against the invaders, as if the humans had somehow trained the native animals to create chaos. But the most disturbing reports came from Krex units that encountered actual human resistance. General, a Krex field commander reported over intercepted communications, we have engaged human defenders in Sector 7. They are not behaving like civilian colonists. Explain, General Wu Jin replied. They are using military tactics, sir. Advanced ones. And their equipment... The commander paused. Their farming tools have been modified into effective weapons. These are not frightened civilians hiding in their homes. As afternoon turned to evening, the Krex advance slowed to a crawl. What should have been a simple mop-up operation after breaking the Valerian military resistance had become a complex urban warfare nightmare. Hana left the command post to check on her and Jinwoo's home. The streets were quiet, but not empty. She could see human civilians moving through the colony with purpose, carrying supplies and coordinating in small groups. They acknowledged her with polite nods, but continued their work without explanation. Their house looked normal from the outside, but when Hana entered, she found it had been transformed. Furniture had been moved to create clear sight lines through windows. Heavy objects now blocked certain doors while others remained deliberately open. The basement, which had been Jinwoo's storage area, was now stocked with supplies for a long siege. She was examining the supplies when she heard footsteps on the stairs. But the person who descended was not the Jinwoo she knew. Her husband moved, differently now with the controlled grace of a trained fighter. His clothes were dark and practical, designed for stealth and combat. Most shocking of all, he carried a sword. The weapon was beautiful and terrible, its blade reflecting light, in patterns that suggested it was made from materials far more advanced than anything she had seen in his workshop. The handle showed signs of age and use, as if it had been carried by many people across many years. "Hana," Jinwoo said, his voice still gentle but carrying undertones of steel. "You should not be here." "This is my home too," she replied, unable to take her eyes off the sword. "Yes, and I intend to keep it that way." Outside, the sounds of battle were growing closer. Crack soldiers had broken through the outer defensive lines and were beginning to search house by house for hiding colonists. "The sword," Hana said. "Where did it come from?" Jinwoo looked down at the blade, his expression sad and proud at the same time. "It belonged to my grandfather's grandfather. He carried it in the last war on Earth, the one that taught humans why peace is worth fighting for." "But you are an engineer, a builder." "Yes." Jinwoo moved to the window and peered out at the street. "All humans learn to build, Hana. But we also learn what happens when others try to destroy what we have built." Heavy footsteps echoed from the street outside. Through the window, Hana could see Krek's soldiers moving from house to house, kicking in doors and dragging out any civilians they found. "They are coming," she whispered. Jinwoo nodded, his grip tightening on the sword handle. "Yes, they are." "What do we do?" For the first time since the crisis began, Jinwoo smiled. It was not his usual gentle expression, but something sharper and more dangerous. "Now, my love, you get to see what humans are really like when someone threatens their garden." The front door exploded inward as 3 Krek soldiers kicked it down. Their reptilian faces showed confidence as they scanned the room with their weapons raised. They had done this hundreds of times on other worlds. Find the hiding civilians, secure them for processing, move to the next house. But this house was different. Jinwoo stepped out from behind the overturned table where he had been waiting. The sword in his hands moved so fast that Hana barely saw it. The blade cut through the first soldier's weapon like it was made of paper, then continued in a smooth arc that sent the attacker crashing into the wall. The second soldier tried to aim at Jinwoo, but Hana was already moving. Her Valerian combat training took over as she grabbed the alien's weapon and twisted it away. Her armored fist connected with the soldier's head, dropping him instantly. The third Krek soldier managed to fire one shot before Jinwoo's sword found him. The energy blast scorched the wall where Hana had been standing a moment earlier. "Are there more?" Jinwoo asked, checking the street through the broken doorway. "Not immediately," Hana replied, amazed at how calmly she felt. "But others will come when these 3 do not report in." "Then we move. The children are gathering at the school, and the Kreks will target that location soon." As they left their home, Hana saw that the battle for the colony had changed completely. This was no longer Krek's soldiers hunting helpless civilians. The humans had transformed the entire settlement into a maze of traps, ambush points, and defensive positions. A group of Krek's warriors tried to advance down Main Street, only to discover that the peaceful shopping area had become a killing ground. Human defenders fired from hidden positions in buildings, while modified farming equipment created barriers that channeled the attackers into prepared crossfire zones. "How is this possible?" Hana asked, as they moved through back alleys toward the school. "These are not soldiers." "No," Jinwoo agreed, pausing to signal other human defenders with hand gestures she did not recognize. "They are farmers, engineers, teachers, shopkeepers, but Hana, Every human child learns certain lessons. What lessons? How to grow food, how to build shelter, how to work together. Jinwoo's expression grew darker. And how to fight when everything else fails. They reached the school to find it transformed into a fortress. The building itself looked normal, but Hana could see the subtle changes. Windows reinforced with metal plates, entrances narrowed to create choke points, and defensive positions that provided overlapping fields of fire. Inside, human children sat quietly in groups while adults organized supplies and coordinated defense plans. The scene should have been chaotic, but instead it felt eerily calm and organized. Captain Nara approached them, her colonial defense uniform now equipped with additional gear that looked distinctly military. Jinwoo, we need you at the north entrance. They are bringing up heavy weapons. Children secure? He asked. Safe as we can make them. Elder Minho and his volunteers are with them. Hana followed Jinwoo to the north side of the building, where a makeshift barricade faced an open area that had been the school's playground. Krek soldiers were setting up a large energy cannon that could blast through the building's walls. 12 soldiers, one heavy weapon, Jinwoo observed. Standard siege formation. Can we stop them? Asked another human defender, a woman Hana, recognized as the colony's librarian. Yes, Jinwoo replied without hesitation. But we have to act before they finish setting up that cannon. What happened next changed everything Hana thought she knew about humans. Jinwoo did not charge the enemy position or call for a frontal assault. Instead, he made a series of hand signals to the other defenders. They nodded and began moving to positions around the building's perimeter. The attack came from 6 directions at once. Human defenders emerged from concealment points that Hana had not even noticed. Their movements coordinated with precision that would have impressed Valerian military instructors. The librarian turned out to be an expert marksman who picked off the cannon's operators from an impossible angle. An elderly man who ran the colony's bakery threw devices that created smoke screens and confusion among the Krek's soldiers. Even the teenagers helped, using mirrors to direct blinding flashes of sunlight into the enemy's eyes. But it was Jinwoo who ended the fight. He moved through the chaos like a force of nature, his ancient sword cutting through modern armor and weapons with ease. His movements were not wild or aggressive. Instead, he fought with the same careful precision he brought to engineering problems, finding the most efficient solution to each obstacle. Within minutes, the Krek's siege team was defeated. The heavy cannon sat abandoned while its former operators retreated or lay unconscious on the ground. How? Hana asked, staring at her husband. How do you know how to fight like that? All humans know how to fight, Jinwoo replied, cleaning his blade on a piece of cloth. We just prefer not to. More reports came in over their communication system. Throughout the colony, similar scenes were playing out. Human civilians were defeating professional Krek soldiers through tactics that combined ancient combat skills with improvised modern weapons. Lieutenant Yuna's voice crackled through the radio. All units, this is Valerian Command. The Krek's ground forces are requesting reinforcements. They report that human resistance is far beyond expected parameters. Taekwon's voice followed. What does that mean exactly? It means, Captain Nara replied, that the Kreks came here expecting to fight farmers and shopkeepers. Instead, they found an entire population that knows how to wage war. General Wu Jin's frustrated voice came over the intercepted Krek's communications. What is the status of civilian pacification? Sir, his field commander replied, there are no civilians. Every human we encounter is a trained combatant. Their children know military procedures. Their elderly are setting explosives. This entire population appears to be some kind of sleeper military unit. Impossible. Our intelligence reports showed a peaceful agricultural colony. With respect, sir, our intelligence was wrong. These humans are not agricultural colonists. They are warriors who chose to grow food instead of conquest. There is a difference. As night fell, the tide of battle had turned completely. The Krek's ground forces, which had expected easy victory over a divided colonial population, found themselves trapped in an urban warfare nightmare where every building was a fortress and every civilian was a potential threat. The turning point came when Krek's reinforcements landed near the spaceport. The additional soldiers should have overwhelmed the human defenders through sheer numbers. Instead, They walked into the most sophisticated ambush Hana had ever seen. The humans had spent months preparing the spaceport area. What looked like open ground was actually a maze of hidden tunnels, concealed weapon positions, and carefully placed obstacles. The landing Krex forces found. 3 days after the battle, Admiral Hyeju requested a face-to-face meeting on the colony's surface. She came alone, landing her personal shuttle in the same field where Krex soldiers had tried to establish their siege positions. Jinwoo met her there, still wearing his simple work clothes. His sword remained at home, but Hana noticed that his movements still carried the controlled precision of a warrior. "I have a question," Admiral Hyeju said without preamble. "Your people could have revealed their capabilities from the beginning. The mere knowledge that humans possess such skills might have prevented this conflict entirely. Why did you wait?" Jinwoo looked across the field toward the colony, where reconstruction was already underway. Human families worked alongside aliens to repair damaged buildings and replant destroyed gardens. "Admiral, if I told you that my neighbor owned a powerful weapon, how would you treat him?" "With caution, respect perhaps, but also suspicion." "Exactly. But if I told you that my neighbor was a skilled gardener who grew beautiful flowers, how would you treat him?" "As a friend, probably." Jinwoo nodded. Humans learned long ago that being known for your weapons makes you enemies. Being known for your gardens makes you friends. We prefer friends, but you kept the weapons anyway. "We kept the skills," Jinwoo corrected. "The ability to protect what we build when others try to destroy it." Admiral Hyeju was quiet for a long moment, studying this strange human who spoke of warfare and gardening as if they were the same thing. "The Krex hegemony withdraws its claim on this system," she said finally. "But I must ask, how many other human colonies possess these hidden capabilities?" "All of them," Jinwoo replied honestly. "Every human settlement maintains the ability to defend itself. It is simply practical planning. Your ambassador mentioned that we should learn from this encounter. What exactly should we learn?" Jinwoo smiled his gentle smile. "That humans are excellent neighbors, Admiral. We share our knowledge, help with problems, and generally mind our own business. But we are terrible enemies. We suggest you choose to see us as neighbors." The Admiral's shuttle departed an hour later. Within a week, the entire Krex fleet had left the system, moving toward easier targets in distant sectors. The news of Verdant Prime's successful defense spread quickly through galactic communication networks. The story grew in the telling. A peaceful agricultural colony had defeated a massive invasion force using nothing but farmers and shopkeepers. Diplomatic representatives from dozens of species requested meetings with human colonial leadership. Everyone wanted to understand how such a thing was possible. Ambassador Kyung-won arrived with a small human fleet to handle the diplomatic response. His ships were clearly peaceful vessels, designed for exploration and trade rather than warfare. But after recent events, everyone looked at them with new eyes. "The galaxy is asking questions about human intentions," he told the colony's Mixed Leadership Council. "Some species are worried that humans have been hiding military ambitions." "And how are you answering those questions?" Elder Minho asked. "With the truth. Humans want to live in peace, trade freely, and explore new worlds. We have no interest in conquest or empire building, but we will not be slaves or victims either." Taekwon, who had remained on Verdant Prime to observe human reconstruction efforts, raised his hand to speak. "I have a question for the humans present." "Of course," Ambassador Kyung-hwan replied. "Your people clearly possess military capabilities that rival or exceed most professional armies. Yet you choose to live as farmers and engineers. Why?" Jinwoo answered for his community. "Because winning a war is easy, Commander. Building a civilization that makes war unnecessary is hard. Humans decided long ago to work on the hard problem. But you maintain the ability to fight?" "Of course. Peace without strength is just waiting to be conquered. But strength without wisdom is just another form of conquest." Over the following months, the changes in galactic politics became clear. Species that had previously ignored human colonies began seeking trade agreements and mutual defense pacts. The reputation of humans shifted from harmless newcomers to sleeping giants who chose cooperation over domination. For Hana and Jinwoo, life slowly returned to something like normal. He went back to his repair shop and garden, while she resumed her diplomatic duties. but their relationship had deepened in ways that surprised them both. "I understand now why you were not worried about defending me," Hana said one evening as they worked together in their rebuilt garden. "You were not hiding your strength from me. You were hoping never to need it." "I still hope that," Jinwoo replied, planting seeds with the same careful precision he had once used to wield his sword. "But I am grateful you saw what humans become when our choices are taken away." "Your cousin visits often now," Hana observed. Taekwon had indeed become a regular guest, bringing young Valerian officers to train with human defenders. The collaboration had produced new tactics that combined Valerian honor with human adaptability. "He wants to learn human fighting methods," Jinwoo said. "And you are teaching him?" "I am teaching him something more important than fighting techniques." Jinwoo stood and brushed dirt from his hands. "I am teaching him when not to fight." "Is that harder to learn?" "Much harder. Any species can learn to destroy. Building requires patience, wisdom, and the courage to be vulnerable. Fighting for something is easy. Choosing to protect it through peace is the real challenge." That night, as they prepared for bed, Hana saw Jinwoo pause at their bedroom closet. The ancient sword hung there in its simple scabbard, looking like nothing more than an old family heirloom. "Do you regret that I had to see you like that?" he asked quietly. Hana thought about her answer carefully. "I regret that the situation required it. But I do not regret knowing who you really are." "And who am I?" "You are a gardener who can fight when his garden is threatened. You are a builder who remembers how to tear down what threatens what he builds. You are a gentle man who chooses gentleness, from strength, not weakness." Jinwoo closed the closet door and turned to face her. "The galaxy knows about humans now. Things will be different." "Good different? Or bad different?" "Different different. Some species will fear us. Others will want to use us. A few will understand that humans offer something rare, reliable allies who can actually protect their friends. And which kind will we be?" Jinwoo smiled and took her hands in his. "The kind that builds gardens where children can play safely, helps neighbors solve their problems, and never draws a sword unless someone forces us to." "Even if others expect us to be warriors now?" "Especially then." Jinwoo's voice carried the quiet certainty she had fallen in love with. "Let them expect warriors. We will give them gardeners who happen to be very good at protecting what they grow." Months later, trade delegations and diplomatic missions visited Verdant Prime regularly. They came to study human agricultural techniques, engineering methods, and community organization. But everyone really wanted to understand the same thing: how a species could be so peaceful and so dangerous at the same time. The answer, Hana realized, was visible every day in their small colony. Humans built beautiful gardens and then protected them with absolute determination. They created things worth fighting for, then chose to fight only when creation was threatened. It was a lesson the galaxy was still learning to understand. But Hana, watching her husband tend their flowers while wearing the calluses of a swordsman, understood it perfectly. The most dangerous warriors were the ones who truly did not want to fight, because when they finally had no choice, they fought not for glory or conquest, but for love. And there was no force in the universe more dangerous than someone fighting to protect what they cherished most. The quiet human she had married had not changed at all. She had simply learned to see him clearly, and that perhaps was the most important lesson of all.